Welcome back, everybody. We got ourselves a replay analysis. Want to learn a little bit of carry TA myself, and who better to learn it from than Sumail, the king of NA himself, who played for OG. They won Game 5 of the qualifiers to go to TI. They also won Game 4 off the back of carry Templar Assassin. Fits the meta currently. I don't know how long it'll be viable, but the fact that the meta is a lot of ranged heroes that buy Dragonlance and Flash Farm jungle creeps, such as Medusa and Luna, TA fits in quite nicely. So for anyone who's been living under a rock or just doesn't pay very much attention, that's why TA is starting to get played as a carry, even though in the past she was pretty much exclusively a mid.
Banana slam jam.
So we see here that it was a first round TA. So this is a game where it's meant to be countered pretty hard, but to be honest, other than the Wyvern, I don't think Mirana or Ursa counters TA very well. The heroes that give TA the most issues are ones with immense amount of damage over time because they can peel off the refraction. I think this Darkseer was a block pick, but you can see the Viper ban, later Brewmaster ban, Venomancer, any heroes like this. Darkseer is great. That's why they picked it to block pick. Interesting. So no Quelling Blade in the starting items. Looks like just purely stat items. Thought as a ranged hero that right clicks he might go for a Quelling. TA has pretty high base damage, so 64 base damage. Show this, yes. So he actually levels Meld in lane and then waits. -5 armor level 1, by the way. Is he going to get the value Meld Strike in lane? Is this worth? This is where the creeps go. He's going to get the Meld Strike on 33. He misses it. So Meld stacks, really important to note. So the only restriction on Meld stacking is whether or not you get it on the right cooldown. So he should have gotten a double Meld there, but he kind of missed it. Pretty hard since TA is really low range, but it looks like a cute little play that you can do to establish lane dominance. Against any melee hero with low armor, tied pretty low armor, pretty cool play there. You don't really have enough mana to spam refraction in the side lanes anyways. Meld being really cheap, they buffed it to 35 mana level 1. So it looks like we got some lane shenanigans going on here. Looking to threaten that Meld Strike, -5 armor is quite scary. I had no idea this is how we were going to see it played out. I guess you probably don't want to level Sideblades level 1 because it pushes the lane. And then, like I said, you don't have mana for refraction. So Meld Strike level 1 actually makes a lot of sense. So notice how there's a bunch of creeps now. You don't mind pushing the lane at about 2 minutes in. It's just level 1 that you want to be able to maintain some lane equilibrium. Especially when your hero is survivable as TA. Pretty decent move speed, pretty decent HP pool. Gonna level the side blades to make sure he doesn't get dove by 9 creeps. Uses Meld Strike to secure a CS. Nothing wrong with that. Pretty low mana cost. Looks like there's some dragon going on here. You guys probably don't learn too much from this because your lanes probably just meet as normal all the time. But looks like we're going to start seeing a max of refraction here. Always threatening the Meld Strike. Kind of cool. Goes for the stick against Tide, hero that's cast a lot of spells. We do need to work with some mana. Completes the Wraith Band. And it looks like he's primarily focusing on just kind of pushing in the lane. Similar to the Gyrocopter video I made. The concept that I talked about in that Gyrocopter video is that by pushing in the lane, the opponent's constantly being forced to respond to creeps, which means that they're not able to shut you down. And every time the lane's pushed out and you're safe by yourself as a carry, which TA is pretty independent with refraction as well as just boots. That's why I think he went for them, is it allows him to be more maneuverable in lane. It allows the disruptor to walk over and stack. And I think with all these range carries, this seems like the ideal play. I'm assuming disruptor is going to be stacking some camps here. He will be stacking the melee or the medium camp. And TA is just going to keep auto-attacking the wave. And what's so awesome about these ranged heroes, like the Gyros, the Medusas, and the Lunas, is when they're attacking the wave forward, you're also threatening the opponent with your right clicks. You can keep trying to position with side blades. We're seeing Sumail constantly threaten those Meld Strikes, and he's just auto-attacking the lane forward. That process that I talked about in the carry video for like being too greedy of like trying to push in the lane and farm, seems like these heroes are able to start at like 3 minutes into the game when most carries can't start until much later. So I think that makes TA a nice carry along with all these other ones right now. Seems to be the broken concept. So a lot of these carries are just going for treads. Why? Because they farm only with right clicks, and treads are super efficient for right clicking. So push in the lane and jungle. Just ignore the offlaner. Allows your support to continue stacking for you. It's just ultra efficient. This is literally Medusa Luna gameplay here. He even goes for traps. I wasn't sure if he'd take them, but they probably help secure your lane. They're like little scouts for the offlaner. Constantly threatening anytime his support's over here. This is cool. So he's pushing the lane the majority of the time, but notice how it was like 720. There's 2 creep waves, right, every minute. There's one that meets at 720, and there's one that meets at 745-ish. So every time it's the 720 wave, No Tail has been dewarding. He's come back to lane and harassed for his TA. But on the other ones, he's been stacking because it's the minute mark. So he's going to go back off and stack. This is exactly what heroes like TA, Luna, and Medusa want. Perfect gameplay, not only from Sumail of continuously pushing out the lane to defend himself, but also really efficient play from No Tail, who's going to walk back to lane and take the lane XP, I assume, after TA starts to get these stacks. Perfect. Handoff, give him the stacks. Sumail now starts jungling, maxed refraction, gave himself some clarities, farmed out a couple camps, and now he's going to return to lane. I like this play, returning to lane. It's the same idea as what Disruptor was doing. They're kind of like handing off the lane. This is such efficient play. Sumail, instead of like being on the minimark and stacking, he farmed all the camps that he wanted to farm, and then he returned to bottom lane, just like No Tail did. So super efficient handoff of resources here, where No Tail got like 3 or 4 creeps of solo XP. Sumail's been getting about half the creep waves of solo XP. And back and forth, back and forth. And it's all enabled by the fact that these heroes just farm so fast. TA takes stacks super quickly. Interested to see that he is maxing out Meld over Psyblades. I guess the Dragon Lance allows you to do this, because it's like an extra 2 points, 3 points actually, in your Psyblades. Yeah, it's literally max Psyblades effectively with the range from Dragonlance, which is cool. So notice he's not going to any fights. He really is playing this like a hard carry, such as Medusa, pushing in the lane, pushing in one more lane because there was a team fight top. Probably wouldn't feel safe enough to do this if the entire enemy team was missing, but a huge fight just happened. Constantly looking at the fights, but pretty straightforward gameplay. Push in lane, jungle, fly yourself some clarities. This seems like the standard build. Treads Dragonlance into Deso, usually Ags afterwards. No more Blink, because Blink's more of like a mobile mid laner ganking item, while he's a carry. He's not a mid laner. So it looks like he's migrating away from the bottom lane. This is the point in the game that he's expressed that he feels threatened by the opponent. They still have Tide Ravage. They have Winter's Curse. There's an Ancient stack that he wants to farm. And this is the beauty of carry. And this is why it always confuses me in pubs. Seems pretty straightforward to me. Or he's been farming by himself the entire time bottom. The second that he feels the opponent team might threaten him if they're all missing, they've dispersed from the fight, he joins his team. He farms the entire Ancient stacks, and you ask yourself, why, as a carry, he's participating in fights? Where else does he go? There's no camps. Is he supposed to, like, walk through his jungle? No. It's a great opportunity for them to do something, because he's farmed all the camps that he really wants to, and it's 12:30. So he's got 30 seconds to go do something, potentially. Looks like No Tail is just going to get a ward up, and they're going to call it good. They didn't flag the map, so he's going to go back to farming. And notice how he even clears the camps before the 13-minute mark. So even though it looked like he was like participating in the game, he didn't miss any camps. And instead of prioritizing farming on the start of the minute, he's perfectly fine to go team fight, because if the fight goes south, he can just back off and go farm what he would have been farming anyways. Super good Meld Strike on the Tide. Really playing the outskirts of the fight, never overcommitting. Looks like since Curse is used, he's fine to go in with his team. Really good patience. He just sat there wailing on him. This was all set up by that ward they had from the smoke, too. Allowed them to take a good fight here. So that was cool. And they're going to yoink a massive Ancient stack. This is literally the exact thing I did in my Gyro Pub. In my Gyro Pub, I was up by 5k. OG was down by 2k. So it just speaks to them understanding their power spikes as a team. Got the Deso, DD. Definitely on Radiant, TA would start wanting to play around top ASAP. Ancients as well as Roche in the same place. Deso seems like a really straightforward power spike. I don't think they would have gone for this if they didn't have the DD rune. So very opportunistic play. It's not that you can't do Roche, but they did use Ravage, and the DD just puts it over the top of how fast that Roche is going to go down. Seems like the maxed Meld Strike also plays into a factor there. In order to do Roche faster. You just don't need the extra points in Psyblades. Takes the Psyblade range talent. That's just the broken talent that makes TA even stronger right now. Such long range, even with just 2 points. Pretty much the same rotation now. He's been farming ancients and then committing to his team. He farms all the camps that he wants to farm, and then he goes and joins fights and acts like a normal building sieger. He's not like some active TA. He's literally just a right-clicking carry that hits towers and then goes back to farming. So very relaxed gameplay. He's going to mosey his way through the enemy jungle, back off. Always talk about farming backwards on the minute, which means that you get a kill, you take a good fight, and then you retreat over the course of a minute. Notice how he started on their side, farmed his way all the way back. Has a nice set of ancients to farm. Working on that Ags, which is basically going to make him a Spectre. At least a poor man's version in the sense that, you can't show up right on top of the heroes, but you can be anywhere on the map that you have a trap. The mana cost and cooldown reduction is just such a huge buff to TA. And notice how he's never really playing by himself until he has the Ags. He's literally a Medusa. He's just walking down lanes, hitting buildings. And the difference is that he has a Deso, so he does a shit ton of damage, single target. Allows him to take the Roche. Lets his team go in for him. Constantly sitting on the back end, just sieging. Never goes in. It's hard to commit on TA in a game like this. They have counter initiation of Wyvern Curse, Ravage. Really like the patience. He's letting the fights break out. It really benefits him to have heroes like Darkseer, Pango, Nyx, heroes that kind of just run in, cast their spells defensively, bait out some abilities. And suddenly a 2k net worth lead for Tundra is just a 4k net worth lead like 5 minutes later, sieging high ground, forces them all back to base when they respawn, and we're going to repeat the process. Looks like any ancient stacks from your supports are just a bonus. So that entire time, he played aggressive top. I think he effectively missed one triangle stack. So in terms of efficiency, he's basically farmed triangle every single minute. He's pushed mid tower, taken it. He's taken top tower. And now, because he's farming so fast, but he also has his Ags, he's willing to farm this area. Notice how his farm sped up to the point where he's pushed lanes, he's taken his triangle, and he has time to branch out into other places. And since he has the Ags, it makes sense that he wants the Ags at this time rather than any other time, because his hero farms fast enough at this point that he wants to expand his range of farming. And the best way to do that on TA while still having impact is the Ags. So he retreats into his own jungle, but still makes him a global threat. Takes the Ag Shard, super powerful Ag Shard, makes your traps silence. Super good against Ursa, Wyvern, Mirana, heroes that rely on abilities to defend themselves. And now he's actually playing the defensive part of the map consistently. He's basically, I wouldn't say he's a Spectre. He's like a Nature's Prophet. He can just farm anywhere and join the team. So now he's just playing ultra efficient. And the threat of being able to be anywhere is allowing his team to farm mid, top, and Darkseer's Iron Shelling bottom. And they're clearing their entire jungle. And Tundra has to be scared. That's just so cool. He even uses his Ags to accelerate his movement to the triangle by a bit. I don't even think he had to do that. It is going to give him an extra, 10 seconds to potentially do something on the end of the minute. Maybe check rune or something like that. It allows him to TP bottom and set up. So he actually goes back because he didn't see anything. And then he's going to TP to this trap again. So you can see how by accelerating his farm by 10 seconds, it's giving them these opportunities to participate in fights. So that trap movement to his triangle was really cool, because it gave him that time to set up the traps bottom, which he then went back to the Ancients. Dude, that was such a cool play. Let's actually review that in depth. So we're talking about the 21-minute farm cycle, right? So he goes 21:30, he teleports to the triangle, which is going to eliminate maybe 10 seconds of movement, right? So it's going to accelerate his movement by about 10 seconds. He's going to utilize that 10 seconds that he's farmed all the camps, he's not missing anything, to then TP bottom and set up with his team, lay a trap, but make sure he doesn't miss any farm because it looks like nothing's immediately happening right now. Beauty of TA is that you can TP to your own safe lane and not have it grief you because you're not stuck here. And he gets out. Amazing game sense to know that Tundra is all missing and that that's the exact moment he needs to get out. Ravage gets used, barely dodges it. This is a situation where if he was 2 seconds slower on any of this, he didn't immediately trap to the Ancients. He didn't immediately TP bottom, lay the trap, and then leave the second it was out or is up available to leave. He would have died there. This is just crazy speed of decision making where his team wins an awesome fight bottom, all enabled by his quick farming. He's going to be the one that pushes bottom because the enemy team is dead and he's the one that does building damage. So his team's going to clear mid. Really cool, efficient map play by them here. Going for BKB next. Seems like he does all the damage he needs. He has all the map presence he needs. So he pushed in bottom, pushed in mid, immediately rotate to Roche because he forced somebody on the enemy team to go bottom. This is just such swift map movements. I thought he might go farm triangle there, but it looks like they want to just run at the opponent here. No reason to give Tundra any space here. So it looks like the second Aegis is where he stops prioritizing efficiency and he prioritizes overall aggressive map play. It's really cool to see that he plays on the enemy side of the map, hitting buildings when he has Aegis, but he plays on his own side of the map, farming jungle when he doesn't. And it seems like that Ags lines up with the period of time between the first and second Aegis. He has the ability to play his own side of the map and still be a threat on the map. Really lines up well there. It's just so smooth. It just looks so fluid. It looks like he has a clear plan for every single moment in this game. And now they're just easily taking racks. Such clean play in a game where his team was down by 2K at 11 minutes. It does not look like a game where his team was down by 2K at 11 minutes. He has 6,000 more net worth than anyone else in the game, and that's his mid laner. So he's 7,000 more than the Ursa. 8-0-6. 8-0-6 at 26 minutes with 318 CS. This is the Ember Spirit Remnant factor, but it's even better because he can go bottom and then show up to the fight. You saw Tundra thought, hey, TA's not here. Get him. This is the power of TA, it looks like. He can go back to base, regen. Tundra says, oh, he's not here. Go get him. He's gone bottom. But the TA Ags is 10-second cooldown. So he's farming bottom and then shows back up to the fight with the Ag Shard silence and just kills the enemy mid. Yes, that is a Wyvern mid. And it makes the game look so easy. He relieved pressure bottom, regened up so that he could be full resources for the fight, and then instantly teleported back into the fight the second his Ags was up. And this is just a clinical game. I learned a little bit about the skill build in lane, a lot about how he was kind of trading off with his support in lane. That was really cool. I really liked the fact that he was jungling for the stacks, but then immediately returned bottom, kind of like the reverse of what Disruptor was doing in the laning phase, where they want to combine themselves to pressure the tide, but then back off to separate and be efficient with farming. So that seems like the key with all these ranged carries, but TA obviously fits perfectly in with this. Goes for the 1-point Sideblade, but then with the Dragonlance early, it effectively gives you the range of having max Sideblades. And then it allows you to max that Meld Strike, and then you hit that Deso timing, and anytime you see an opening, you can go for Roche. Just a really cool game plan. He's just so farmed. If the game wasn't this smooth, you'd probably have to go for some more damage items, maybe an earlier BKB instead of the Ags. But it seems like a situation where the earlier you can push out the lane this patch, the better. They might be nerfing TA soon, but I want to learn it a bit myself, and we're going to see how it goes. It's going to be a bit rough, probably, because TA is just a weird hero. Got to get used to using the traps and laying them out and planning the map. That seems like the hardest part. But hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of replay analysis, reflection on what we thought Sumail was thinking during this game. And, yeah. Like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff if you like these kind of videos. Bye.